This is my last social studies lesson plan, and it's going to be on archaeological digs, page 36 of our social studies book. The standards that I found was Standard 1, History, 1.1a, Identify community and regional historical artefacts and generate questions about their function and significance. Explain the past through oral or written first-hand accounts of history, 1.1b. 1.1d, which is Identified history as the story of the past preserved in various sources, and 1.2e, Describe the history, interaction and contribution of the various peoples and cultures that have lived in or migrated to neighbourhoods and communities. I also added Standard 2 Geography, which is 2.2c, Explain why people settle in certain areas. Archaeological dig, I like the lesson plan because it talks about the origins of people, where they came from, their culture, and how it all came about. In Aspen, we have such a diverse background that it's interesting to learn about the origins of their community. The book talks about the NCSS curriculum strands, which covers culture, time, community and change, individual development and identity. The grade levels are a bit higher than what I'm aiming for, but I have turned it into a second grade project. The procedural recommendations is to select a site or span of time to interpret. So what I'm thinking of doing was talking about the Ute Indians that were in Aspen and around the area, just because we've got the information and the people who can come and share their resources with us. So to start the lesson, I was thinking basically I would bring in a bag of things, of artifacts. We would talk about, I would disclose one by one artifact, and this would be something that would be based on me. So say something that's, you know, a flag of where I'm from, my favorite foods, maybe my iPhone, a computer, and talk about with the students, where do they think, you know, is this person from the past, from the present, or from the future? And how do you know this? How do we know about people's cultures? By the things that they've left behind, or the things that they have. And that's why my student objectives, my content objectives I should say, is the students will compare and contrast artifacts from the past and the present. The students will use geographic tools such as a grid map, and that will be an archaeological dig that I will create. Through effective questioning, students recognise that the archaeologist's presents his or her best ideas only after considering all of the evidence had been discovered and examined. And through this opening hook, where I am disclosing one piece of information from my bag that represents me, I'm hoping to help them examine and to present the best ideas that they have, and to consider where this is from, the present, the past, or the future. The skill objectives will be to create a time capsule to show what represents their culture and them, and how it's going to look in the future. What do they think will encapsulate who they are today that can be well represented in the future? Obviously, the Ute Indians didn't have that chance to show what would best represent them, and we are trying to identify and discover through things that have been left and things that have been found to work out and present the best ideas of how they lived, what they ate, what they wore, and what tools and weapons they used. So we'll create a time capsule to show that what represents their culture, and the students will use a grid map to identify where artifacts were found in the mock archaeological dig. So the resources I'm going to need are sensory table, which I will turn into an archaeological dig. I'll use this using string to map out a grid map, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. They've been doing this in geography, so that kind of takes over from one part to another. I'll need artifacts, so I would get arrowheads, little pottery, hopefully like little doll stuff, and weavings, hieroglyphics, clothing, bones of animals, you know, doll-sized toys or pictures of original artifacts. So the engaging will be to bring in a bag of treasures that include favourite foods, clothing, computers, iPhone, musical instruments, kitchen utensils, and ask the class, what do these treasures say about me? This will be disclosed one at a time so we can talk about the information presented. We're going to have brainstorm discussion and write down the ideas on a paper. So what do we know? The next thing, I'm going to open another bag which contains pictures or artifacts